And welcome. This is Thomas Grant. We have an unexpected little story we want to share real quick. Judge Braig, I just left his courtroom a few minutes ago, and to say that I am not happy and I am absolutely shocked at the sentence would be an understatement of the year. Micheal McClerry was found guilty by a jury of 2 counts of gross sexual imposition. This was earlier this year, and today was his sentencing. So we were advised of this, so we showed up to show support to the victim of this case, who was her biological father. Now let me read to you what was entered into the courtroom by the prosecuting attorney. Now, the sentencing guidelines. He was found guilty of 2 F3 violations, F3 counts of gross sexual imposition. So because both counts are covered, the combined prison term could range from 12 months, 1 year, with a minimum concurrent sentence of up to 120 months, 10 years, with a maximum consecutive sentence. Concurrent means if there's 2 charges, that time is served at, concurrently at the same time. So if you're sentenced to 18 months in prison for 2 different counts, and it is said to be a concurrent sentence, then you only have to serve 18 months. If it is consecutive, you serve the first sentence first, and then you have, after that 18-month sentence has been fulfilled, then you have another 18-month prison sentence for the second offense. So that was what the state was asking for, was a concurrent or a consecutive sentences for each charge, so this guy gets the maximum time in prison. So let's just read some of the stories here. The offense for which the defendant has been found guilty alleged that he engaged in sexual contact with a person under the age of 13, and the court shall impose a prison term or terms for gross sexual imposition when the victim is less than 13 years of age. The offenses were committed on or after August 3rd, 2006. And evidence other than the testimony of the victim was admitted in the case, corroborating the violation. The jury again found him guilty. At the trial, the victim testified that the defendant engaged in multiple instances of sexual contact with her by rubbing her in a private area in the defendant's bed when she visited his home between 2014 and 2020. State's Exhibit B is a video of the defendant's interview with law enforcement. The defendant, this Micheal McClerry, included admissions to multiple instances of touching the victim's vagina in bed during this time period. Although the defendant attempted to evade moral responsibility for these offenses by blaming the victim, he substantially corroborated the victim's testimony with respect to the elements of these offenses. Now, this is an underage girl, and he's saying he's blaming the victim. It gets better. Let's see here. The defendant perpetrated these offenses against his daughter when she was a little girl between the ages of 4 and 10, seeking her father's protection when she was scared. The victim's testimony, supported by the testimonies of her mother and her psychotherapist, established that the defendant's relationship to the victim facilitated the events, and that the mental injuries suffered by the victim was exacerbated because of her age. Post-traumatic stress disorder, all kinds of obvious mental health problems related to her father raping her for years. Let's see here. In 2023, no, this is different. See here. The defendant has no criminal record, blah, blah, blah. Good for him. In fact, the defendant thinks he is the real victim here. Okay, here it is. State Exhibit Exhibit B said, I wanted her to have a happy, good place. That was the biggest thing, and I got shot in the ass. I don't know why. That makes no sense. Exhibit B. I don't know why I left it. I don't know why I let anything happen. The defendant's ex-wife testified to the defendant, Micheal McClerry, admissions to these offenses. She stated that the defendant was unconcerned for the victim's well-being and was only concerned with his legal jeopardy. Get this. April 2023, the defendant's previous defense counsel sent this to the prosecutor. I have discussed possible resolutions of this case with my client, Micheal McClerry. Our counteroffer is dismissal of the charges against him. In exchange, he will not pursue sexual misconduct and attempted rape charges against her, the child victim. This is a real piece of work. The state asked the court to note that the defendant is not wholly incapable of remorse. He simply chooses not to have any. Indeed, the only remorse he has shown for these offenses was to his adult sons. And this was a text message, to his adult sons. I owe you guys a serious apology. I know it doesn't change anything, but I'm very sorry for letting you both down by a mistake I knew not how to correct. Let's read that again. I am very sorry for letting you both down by a mistake I knew not how to correct. How about you stop molesting your daughter? How about you try that? Even this tepid apology, this is from the prosecutor's office, fails to take responsibility. It minimizes years of sexual abuse against a little girl as a mistake. Moreover, his apology is not for the abuse against his daughter, it's for letting down his sons. It's clear that when the defendant says, I am sorry for failing everyone, he did not and could not have meant the victim. He never offered an apology directly to or about the victim, and he didn't passively fail the victim. He actively abused her for years. The defendant understands what he did was illegal, but he demonstrates a persistent refusal to accept that he is responsible for his conduct and that his conduct was wrong. Okay, and that, wow. Now, reading that before the court hearing, pardon me, I'm going to shuffle papers. Reading that before the court hearing, I thought, holy cow, this guy, he is going to get the maximum allowed sentence. The 10 years, 120 months. That's what I was expecting. You know, as a father, and you're raping your daughter, you're molesting your own daughter, sexually abusing her for years. Yeah, he's getting the maximum, right? So Judge Braig comes in, does his whole thing, and this was the sentence. 18 months to be served concurrently. 18 months in prison for sexually abusing his daughter for years. 18 months. And with this being his first offense, he will probably be out before Christmas. Rough timeline, 6 months, he can file for early release, and he will probably get it. So this guy abuses his daughter for years, and he's not even going to end up spending that 18 months in prison. It will be less. And even if he serves the entire sentence, that's a joke. 1.5 years for what this guy did. God bless the victim and everything she has had to go through because of this sick man. And Judge Braig, you should be ashamed of yourself. Absolutely ashamed. It's ridiculous. Somebody needs to run against him for judge, because this cannot go on. These people need to be punished, and the victims need to get justice. This is not justice. The prosecutor's office, they wanted the full, trust me, they wanted the full maximum sentence. And Judge Braig, there he goes, slapping people on the wrist. What a joke. You should be ashamed, Judge. And Micheal McClerry, you are a piece of shit. Okay? That's it. But, that's the nicest thing I can say about you. And God bless the victim. God bless her and her family and her friends. She's going to rise above all this. I know it. We all know that. Evil doesn't always win. But Judge Braig, he needs to go. This is absolutely unacceptable.